So it being on or about 6:30, I call the May 20th,
Recording
2025
in
meet.
progress.
Thank you, Jen. I'll start again. It being on or about 6:30, I call the May 20th, 2025 meeting of the Easton Conservation Commission to order. This meeting is being conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board/commission members shall count towards a quorum. Let's begin with a roll call vote to establish quorum. Carol present.
Rossman present.
Spadia present.
Vecchio present.
So as noted for quorum, I'm going to take an agenda item out of order. So we're going to begin with the certificate of compliance for 39 Riverside Terrace. As such, Mike, as a reminder, this is a matter that I have to recuse myself on, so I'm going to step out of the meeting and I'll come back in when you wrap up.
Sounds good.
As this was continued from the last meeting, there were comments in the staff report that the buffer zone markers were not in the correct location. That was the only item that was not correct in the application. The applicant has said they are in the right place.
You haven't gone up to check them out.
Not since we did the site inspection.
So we can close this if we want.
Yes, you don't have to close it's not really a hearing, it's just a discussion, so you can make your motion and vote or have discussion on it.
Yeah, so we'll leave it up to Phil and Nate. Do you have anything to add or say to this? Obviously, the markers we believe have been moved, right? Jen has not checked them yet, so
We think they were in the wrong spot and we think they've been moved. We're not sure.
I don't know anything about them being moved. They were,
Oh,
I mean, maybe Mike, describe what you saw at the site inspection.
yeah. I mean, when we were there, we had told the homeowner a specific spot to place them. Jen had gone back and realized that they had not been placed there. A little far from those spots, or even not in that spot at all. So obviously, you said so. There's been no movement since that time.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
There may have been some landscaping done since then in mulch areas that hadn't been there before, but it looks like Ed is here, so I'm going to promote him and he can describe things to you as well.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, you can just introduce yourself to the attendees, and thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Kirschenbaum. I'm the homeowner at 39 Riverside Terrace. The order of conditions called for edge of the lawn. I posted about 10 pictures showing where and they are on the record. They're showing where the markers are posted. They're on all the corners of the lawn. When you enter the property, they are the first thing that you notice. And I have to say that viewing the markers from actually within the house, the lawn is so narrow here. It's only like, I don't know, 7-8 feet wide. You can't even see the lawn. You can only see the markers. So, we can talk about where these need to be moved 1 foot or 2 feet in either direction. But the fact is, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on getting compliant just to remove hazardous trees. And I hate to see this tied up because there's a question of where the edge of the lawn is. It's clearly there's 5 acres of untouched wetlands here with thousands of trees. The markers are not even 15 to 20 feet from the edge of the house. So I question why people need to continue visiting the property. Please take a look at the pictures. And this home is also pending closure on a sale. So if the markers are going to tie it up, then why don't we make a time to meet at the house? I'll be there to move the marker a foot in either direction so we could simply close this matter.
Thank you, Ed.
Can you look at the pictures on the record?
Jen, are those pictures on the record? Yeah, he'd ask.
If you put them in permit-ized, then yes.
They're there.
They're in. Jen, so to go forward with this, Jen, would you want to go to make just a site visit and get this handled and get this finished with?
Yeah, no, we can meet on site. That's fine.
Ed, is there a day that's best for you? I know
I'll be honest with you. I've moved away. The house is pending sale. I live in a different state now. It's expensive for me to come down. I came down to move the markers. I couldn't figure out where they need to be moved to because please look at the pictures. There is a lawn. There is about 2 feet of mulched. The question here is whether the 2 feet of mulched flower bed where flowers are blooming is part of the lawn because the marker is right beyond that. If we want to talk about that it's at the grass line and that word does not appear in the order of conditions, well, right behind those mulched areas is a thin strip of grass. So again, I can't understand.
I think part of the confusion, Ed, is that there weren't mulched beds there during any of the inspections, but we can certainly, if you have somebody that you want to be
The
in the
mulched
property
beds were
instead of you because you
the
live
mulched
far away,
beds in the
we can
bushes
certainly
were,
do that.
yeah, the mulched beds in the bushes were all there. Could we look at the pictures instead of making me have to come down? I need to close this issue so that we can proceed with the home sale. I'll do anything at this point, but I need to get this closed. Can we look at the pictures instead of
Do you have
requiring?
them available to share on the screen? We can certainly do that. You have the ability to share.
They're on the permitized record.
I don't have that open, sir.
Oh, I'll need to open it if you'll need to hang on a sec.
Yeah,
Sure.
take your time.
I'm just signing in here.
Nope, that's cool. No worries, Ed.
Be right with you. I'm just getting the
Ed, you're doing fine. No worries.
thing open here. Well, there's a number of pictures here. I can start by showing you this first one here. You say I can share the screen?
Yeah, if
Yes.
you just do screen share, you'll be all set.
I think it's this one. It's not showing me the picture of the I'm sorry, it's to share. My computer's going to make me re-log into the Zoom. I hate to take up all your time with this.
Yeah.
I'll be right
That's
back.
Jen, are these the pictures? Are you referencing these photos? Oh, he's gonna be right back. Okay, we're gonna wait. I think he's logging back in.
That's odd, but okay.
Are these the photos that you'd referenced for the project? Like, I mean, for what where you're saying that they have been moved. Have you seen these photos yet?
Well, hold on, let's just make sure it's here for. Ed's presenting photos that were after our site inspections.
Got it.
And so Ed, a lot of times it's easier to have the photos open all first and then share the screen.
Yes, would it be possible to do the next thing on the agenda and then come back to this? And I'll have them all ready for you so we can, just in the interest of time.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll have them all ready for you.
I'm just gonna mute you and stop your video in the meantime.
So our next agenda item is actually our first. It's general public comment. As a reminder, general public comment is not to be geared towards a specific project on the agenda. There will be time for projects on the agenda to have public comment for each thing that is a public hearing. This is also not something that we respond to. It's so that we can call the commission's attention to issues and in contemplating future agendas. So if anyone's here to give general public comment, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to hearings and possible deliberations, starting with 3 Symphony Drive, which is a request for determination of applicability to install fencing for a pool and removal of 5 trees.
Good evening, it's Craig Siganowski, Rim Engineering.
Greg, how are you?
How you doing?
Good.
I'll share screen, the plan.
You're up and running.
So this 3 Symphony Drive, the house was built back in 2000, and my client Bill Colclough bought the lot in 2024, January 2024. So you have the existing house set kind of right up against the property line. This existing deck and patio area, fire pit, predates Mr. Colclough buying the property. The wetlands resource areas were flagged by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration, Replication, sorry. BVW runs out off the property. And then out in the woods is a small pond where we flagged the bank. The 100-foot buffer from there doesn't come onto the property, but the 200-foot comes right here through this, covering this patio area. Bill's wife works at Easton Pool, so they're looking to put a pool in on the property, and they've chosen one of the smaller ones, 10 by 21, putting it over here. The septic system's out front. So we are putting the pool outside of the 100-foot buffer and the 200-foot buffer. So what's being done within the resource area is they like to put the chain link fence that's required for a pool, starting over here at the end of the house, coming up to the property line, running along about 102 feet from the wetlands, 101 over here in the corner, and then come over here. But what they're also looking to do is take down these trees that I'm showing, this 20-inch white pine, right on the slope that this back of the property right behind the lawn just drops down in a 2-to-1 slope down to the natural woodland. There is a white pine sitting right here on top of the bank. And then these 2 trees over here, white pine and an oak, and a 20-inch white pine, which is outside of the resource buffers. This one here, I just realized that I didn't show the 50-foot buffer zone, as it wasn't really affecting what we were doing. But once we had this tree located, the tree is about 42 feet from the BBW. It's 30-inch white pine. My memory is that it's in kind of rough shape, but I could be wrong about that. It's been a while since we've been out there. We are calling for the signs and posts be placed along the limit of work, which in this case will be along the property line here and then along the limit of work, coming to the 100-foot buffer zone. That is the extent of the project. The pool will just be sitting in the lawn. He doesn't want a patio around it. It'll just be a grass walkway coming to the pool.
And so the tree that's within the 200-foot buffer, Chris, that's not within the 100-foot buffer? Where we don't have the other marker?
This one here,
Yeah,
this tree is in both buffers, the 200 from the pond and the 100 from the BVW.
okay. I might just be missing a line on the plan. So that line that runs
This-
behind the fence is the 100-foot line from
That's the
resource.
100-foot buffer zone, yes.
Got it.
200-foot runs this way.
Okay. I think this is a straightforward plan. Anybody have any questions here?
No, very
Nope.
straightforward.
Looks good.
Any public comment here for 3 Symphony Drive? All right, Craig, I assume you'd like to close?
Yes, please.
Motion to close the public hearing for 3 Symphony Drive.
Vecchio second.
Carol motion, Vecchio second, roll call vote, Carol I.
Rossman, I.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio I.
Motion to issue a negative determination of applicability, noting -2 under the bylaw for 3 Symphony Drive.
Vecchio
Rossman,
second.
Carol motion. I'm gonna
Give
go
to
with
me.
Crossman second. Roll call vote. Carol I.
Rossman, I.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio I.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to 39 Riverside Terrace. Again, we're taking this out of order because I have to recuse myself in consideration for a quorum that may change throughout the meeting.
I have those pictures available.
Sounds good, Ed. If you cannot, actually, does he have to reintroduce himself? Or is he all set?
No, that's okay, but if you would show the video, that would be good. Or maybe I have to do that. Maybe that'll prompt. Okay, cool.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, Ed, go right ahead.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can see the files, have not seen any photos yet.
Okay, I think I need to share again once I have it open. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll share
absolutely.
my whole desktop.
Yep, no worries.
Can you see it?
Sorta. We got your whole home. That's better. That's helpful. Can you zoom in any more than that? Or I guess it kind of
Can
distorts.
you,
maybe.
is that zooming for you or is it just zooming for me? Is
We
that
kind of see like
zooming?
your whole home screen in like
You-
the long way.
Whoops.
It's okay.
I just deleted that one. Hang on. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, I'm terrible at technology, so I'm not much of a help, but
Here, are you able to see this?
I see the markers between the posts there in the middle.
Yeah, so that's taken actually from the deck above, and you can't even see the grass. That's how narrow the lawn is. So I'll show just another one here. I think what was missing before was that this garden bed here, which is a thin mulched area,
Mhm.
was not mulched, but it is now. But these little bushes and since then there's flowers that have come up. This is the corner of the yard. There's again 5 acres of untouched wetlands behind this that will not be touched. These markers are prominent in 5 places in the yard. I can show you the other corners. And I can't imagine how I could be more compliant than this.
Yeah. Thank you. I just have a question for Jen real quick. Jen, so with the markers itself, obviously putting it where if they're closer, it's kind of in a way a benefit, right? Because everything behind it, we're saying, don't go past or start dumping things and so on. Is it, I mean, I don't, is it really bad where they are right now? Is this something we think we should change, or is this okay? I mean, I don't terribly see this as an issue.
No, it's not. When we did the site inspections, there was no mulch there. So they did not
That's
look
true.
like mulched beds. It looked like the grass. So
Right.
if that is an existing mulched area that happened to be mulched after we did all of the site inspections, and that's what the edge of the lawn looked like, then they're fine.
Okay, much appreciated. And if just to clarify, here's the other side of the ones too. They're literally right off the edge of the driveway. It's prominent. There's the first things that you see when you come in, especially if you come in at night. And I think it's very clear. The other thing is that mulched bed provides a very distinct visual markers that the lawn ends, and everything beyond that is, quote unquote woods. Again, I'm not sure how close in I can move them from here.
I understand it. I appreciate that. Thank you for showing us those photos. Phil or Nate, do you have anything to add or any questions?
I'm satisfied with the pictures. I think that gives us enough to
Yeah.
move
I
forward with
agree.
this.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. They look like they're in good spots and prominent.
Yeah, even from being there, I mean, it's close, and I don't need to hesitate you from coming back down here from New Hampshire.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
So just motion to close, right, Jen? That's all we need.
Motion to issue the certificate of compliance.
So moved.
Second,
Excellent. Vecchio second. Can be a roll call vote.
Crossman, I.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
Thanks,
Thank
Ed.
you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Thanks, Ed. Take care.
Yeah.
Calling our next order of business under hearings and possible deliberations is 30 Rollins Road, which is a notice of intent for a septic system replacement.
Have I served my quorum duty?
Yeah, you're good.
You have. Thank you, Nate.
Just noting Commissioner Crossman is leaving 6:52 p.m.
Good evening. You guys hear me, see me? Am I up? I missed a couple seconds of that.
No, you're good. You're up and we can hear you. We can see you. Ready when you are.
Okay. I will bring up the plan and we'll get into it. Just confirm we're looking at that.
We can see it.
Awesome. For the record, Peter Lyons with Collins Civil Engineering Group, representing the homeowner. We're here tonight for a notice of intent relative to the repair of a failed residential 3-bedroom septic system on the end of Rollins Road. This is a 60,000 square foot lot, basically surrounded by wetlands. The site has historically been cleared out right up to the existing stone wall that wraps around the property. And as you can see, the wetlands are basically right at the edge of the lawn and behind the wall. So we've delineated flags 1 through 17 on the western and southern portion of the property. And then looking to the north, we have the corner of an intermittent stream. So on the middle of the cul-de-sac is our 100-foot riverfront resource area, and the 200-foot falls through the front yard. So in this case, what we're doing is kind of balancing the septic system placement, maximizing the distance from the wetlands, also maximizing the distance from the stream. So we have this little area right in the middle that is outside of the 200-foot buffer to the outside the 200-foot riverfront, and also outside of the 100-foot to the BVW. Our proposal with this is to provide a new 1,500-gallon septic tank, which is going to gravity flow to a pump chamber located pretty far away from the house. So we're going to have a pump chamber and an elevated leaching field approximately 3 feet above existing grade. Most of this is an existing lawn area, and we have a couple trees coming out for the placement of the leaching field itself. If we zoom in a little bit on this, it looks like all the trees to be removed are outside of the resource areas, with the exception of maybe this one. They might be able to grade around that, but I would anticipate that one coming out. So that's all that I see. That's just inside the 200 foot to the river. Again, the rest of it is lawn. We've proposed dewatering locations and soil stockpiling areas. Again, maximized to the resource areas. Couple comments, excuse me, from the staff report. There were some, overall the site's pretty clean, but there were some evidence of compost being dumped in the wetlands, specifically between flags 5 and 7 on the western lot line and in the areas of flags 12 to 13. We amended the plan just to show removing of the compost and just to allow that area to naturally revegetate. Again, it's not too bad. I think that's an acceptable solution. We have proposed a relocated compost area that is outside of all resource areas and buffer zones. That is just outside the 100 and well outside the 200 to the stream. Sedimentation control is shown by the red dashed line, basically encompassing all of the work. The leaching field, the piping, and the septic tank on the back of the house. That is as close as 30 feet to the resource on the west here, and plenty of distance to the stream. We show conservation markers being these green squares. Looks like a total of 5 of them, pretty much along the existing tree line and property line. The site is in an ACEC. We've provided waivers for working within the 100-foot. Basically, quick review of those waivers. This is a benefit to the public good. We're replacing a failed septic system. There's no alternative location. As mentioned, we've maximized our distance to all of the resources and buffer zones too. Any questions from the commission? I'd be happy to answer them, but I think that's the.
So, Peter, you cut out on me for a minute there. Were we waiting on a planting plan on this one, Jen? I don't know if that was addressed.
It might be in the staff report that typically you do require plantings when wetland had been altered. That has not been added to the plan.
Yeah, we haven't proposed any plantings. Regarding the alteration or the little bit of fill, we were hoping to just, again, remove the compost, relocate it outside the resource, and just allow the area to naturally revegetate. My opinion is that it's a pretty clean site. That would be acceptable, but ultimately it's up to you guys.
So how much is the disturbance, if you know? How big of an area are we talking about?
Say maybe 500 square feet at the most. I mean, this area we're looking here is probably a little less. That's probably 300 or 400.
Couple shrubs would do it.
We could do a couple shrubs. That's fine. If there's any way that we can condition that rather than continue the hearing, that would be fine with us.
Where do we want the shrubs?
Where Peter's pointing.
Probably right here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Questions or comments from members of the commission?
No, happy with that.
Same.
Jen, any additional staff comment?
Nope, that was the only one.
All right, any public comment here tonight for 30 Rollins Road? All right, seeing none. Peter, I assume you want to close and you're okay with the condition being added that 2 shrubs will be required and to work with our agent to figure out what are appropriate shrubs to be planted.
Sure, that can be discussed at the pre-construction meeting, I guess. But yeah, we are okay with the 2 shrubs. And we
Right,
would like to close.
Motion to close the public hearing for 30 Rollins Road.
Second.
Carol motion, Spadia second, roll call vote. Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Motion to issue an order of conditions and permit for work for 30 Rollins Road. Additional conditions as noted through the meeting.
Second.
Carol motion, Vecchio second, roll call vote. Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks,
You
Peter.
too. Up next is 16 Paddock Road, which is a notice of intent for the construction of an addition, grading, and utilities.
Good evening, everyone. Greg Driscoll of JDE Civil, representing Kevin Eustace tonight for 16 Paddock Road, and I with intent for an addition. He may be on as well. I'm not sure if he wants to join. So if I can share, I'll get into it.
Please.
All right, so. All right, so as I mentioned, the owner Kevin Eustace is looking to build an addition onto his existing home at 16 Paddock Road. Site's located in residential R district on the south side of Paddock Road, right here, and the neighborhood off Prospect Street, including Old Farm
Greg,
Road.
we're seeing like a sort of obscure angle of the plan, or at least I am. I was hoping maybe you could zoom out.
Yeah, same here. It's like, it looks like the
I'm trying
top
to just
left
show
corner.
yeah, I'm trying to show the locus right here. Can you
Got
see
it.
my cursor?
Yeah, now you're on the locus. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm just kind of trying to show that it's the neighborhood off Prospect Street here, Old Farm Road and Saddle Drive, Greenfield Street. So that's the neighborhood we're looking at. This is the property. Existing stream in the back goes along the back of the property. So the wetland resource areas were donated by Environmental Consulting and Restoration, include BVW, the Green Line, the southern portion of the property, flags A1 to A19, and banks of intermittent stream marked IB1 to IB12. So those are the resource areas. We have the 50-foot no disturbance. And as you can see, this was pre our bylaw, and the house was built and developed within that area. And the 100-foot buffer is out in the street. The 100-foot riparian zone goes through the middle of the property, and the 200 foot goes across the street. So they're looking to build a 2-story addition, garage on the bottom floor. The connection for the living space is going to be kind of a bridge across the existing house to the new addition. And that's pretty much what they're looking to do. So we're showing sediment controls around the area of where the work will be. The addition is going where the existing driveway is. So it's already existing impervious area. We're extending the driveway in front of the garage, proposed garage. One of the existing bedrooms will be converted into an office / playroom. There'll be no increase in bedroom count, so the septic system does not need to be expanded. As shown on the plan, the proposed construction is within previously developed area, within the 100-foot buffer zone of BVW and inner riparian zone. We have the areas marked out as 2,765 square feet of disturbance. The portion within the 50-foot no disturbance zone, approximately 800 square foot of disturbance. And as I mentioned, a significant amount of home exists within the existing 50-foot no touch. Driveway. And there's a slight increase in impervious area for the driveway. It's like less than 70 square feet, about 68 square feet, in order to get access into the new garage. Perimeter sedimentation control, as I mentioned, around the disturbance area. We're also showing a temporary dewatering area in the front if needed. As far away as we can get from the intermittent stream and wetlands. And we did get comments from the staff report, which we replied to. I can go through that letter.
Thank you.
So, the first comment was request for waivers to usually accompanied by a restoration plan. And may want to consider provide some buffer plantings around the stream edge. Proposed addition is within existing paved driveway, and there's a proposed removal of existing impervious area to be loamed and seeded to restore the green space and offset expansion of the driveway to accommodate the garage. If the commission would like additional planting at the stream's edge, it could be added as a special condition. So, so this is already a previously developed area. We're taking the pavement away. It's close to the resource areas and replacing with roof runoff and roof area. And the expansion of the driveway is further away from the resource area. New compost area should be identified is comment number 2. Many questions with compost in the wetland from near A8 right here and A5 through 6. So I have photos of that, which I will share. It's not really compost or grass clippings or anything like that, where it's some tree branches, and what seems to us is some shrubs. Like this is a shrub that's not looking so good. I don't know if that has come back.
Doesn't look like that's coming back.
Probably not. Another one there. There's another picture that shows this one. So there's a couple of them. So we can leave them, we can take them out. But as far as like compost, like I know a lot of times you guys will come across grass clippings and leaves and piled up and stuff, but this is some branches and stuff like that. So we've already told the homeowner that it'd be a good idea to take that out, take all those branches and all that stuff, material out of there.
Thank you.
And no future storage in there. Keep it out. If there's any temporary storage, keep it outside the buffer zones as best you can. We're also proposing markers. Those are the black dots we got along here, along the edge of the developed area and where the edge of the lawn, pretty much.
Greg, you're still showing your photo.
Oh, sorry, I'm just pointing another thing. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Sorry about that. So the black dots along here, these are the proposed wetland markers at the edge of the tree line and lawn area that's currently existing. And that is comment number 3. Conservation markers should be added to the locations where the potential for leaves to be blown into the stream. So we're showing them along the whole edge of the lawn. And that's it. That's the comments. That's the project. Turn over to Jennifer or the commissioners for questions, comments.
So net increase in impervious area in the buffer is 75 square feet.
68 square feet.
68 square feet. And that's because you're converting an existing asphalt driveway to a livable space.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Just
And
making
then
sure I
adding-
understand that correctly.
Yep.
What's that, Jen?
And then adding driveway.
And
So
could
the
you show
driveway's
me,
currently right here,
Yeah.
and it's being bumped up to here.
would you mind just zooming in on that to make that a little bit more clear for us?
So you see the edge of pavement here. This is all coming out up to here.
Mm-hmm.
That line right there is the new edge of pavement. This is the grass. Pavements are removed and loamed and seeded.
Okay.
And then the new pit driveway is going to be right in front of the addition and garage. So like I said,
Okay.
further away and blocked by the building from the resource areas.
All right. And there's a waiver request here.
Yes,
For
Have
the
we,
I think so. Yep.
have you articulated a public benefit?
Um,
Let me
Yeah.
preface that by saying I don't think that this is a significant net detriment, but in order to give you a waiver, we need a public benefit. Things that we've allowed in the past would include like infiltrating roof runoff to decrease the total amount of impervious surface.
yeah, we could introduce that. We don't have something right now.
Jen, did you have any staff comment that we missed? And we kind of went through the letter.
just about the waiver for the ACEC not being met yet, the requirements.
Okay, and I'm not wrong about the waiver, right? That's sort of where I was going.
Yeah, and the waiver form itself is laid out according to the way the regs
Yeah.
are worded. So there is a section there that says describe how you meet the public benefit.
Yeah, I'm looking for that. Quietly. There it is. All right. There it is. So pros, additional land in the previously developed area, existing driveway. Well, we do propose addition of approximately 300 square feet of pavement for garage access outside the buffer. We're also proposing the removal and loaming and seeding of approximately 292 square feet of pavement within the 50-foot buffer to restore that area. The proposed addition will be on a slab and controls public interest. The proposed construction will generate additional tax revenue for the town with the removal of pavement within 50 and along with the removal of pavement within 50 feet of the BVW to be restored to green space. So that's what we're doing. And better direction of roof runoff and pre-treatment what now is a completely paved surface. So
it's 36.
by removing this here within the 50-foot and relocating paved area outside the 50-foot, no disturb. That's the benefit, and the benefit of this project is removing all this paved area within the 50-foot.
Okay. So I can't say that we've ever had a project where the proposed benefit has been relocating asphalt. I think, and just so that you know this, because we get the tax benefit piece as a public benefit being proposed all the time, but it has to be related to a conservation interest, which is why we can't accept that portion. in my mind, this project makes a whole lot of sense if we can do an infiltration basin. I don't know if that's something your client's open to. I'm also not the
Yeah.
only person here, so I'd open it up if anyone else has questions or comments.
Oh,
Like a leach pit for roof runoff.
Yes.
I just have one. So what we saw in the form is that the new impervious surface is not 68 square feet, it's 360 square feet. Is the part that's being removed 68 square feet?
And it's being
Then
the next line right there, it's being, and then this part is being removed. So we're adding 360 square feet of pavement to the garage access outside that 50-foot buffer. And then plumbing and seating 292 square feet. So that's where that comes in.
I'm
So
sorry, if you go back to the plan, the portion that's being removed is significantly smaller than what's being added. That makes it look like it's almost equal. That looks like it's about a quarter.
But this is driveway 2. That's all asphalt that's being removed and converted to plain roof runoff.
Still impervious, whether it's a driveway or a garage with an addition, that's still impervious surface. So
It is. Yep.
the part next to it that removing the pavement.
Mhm.
Is that the 68 square feet you were mentioning before?
That's 292 square feet. It's the net between those two numbers, the 360 minus the 292.
I'm just not seeing that.
So the net increase in pavement area is the 68 square feet.
So it's pavement versus total impervious.
Correct.
So I'd have to do that math out
I
differently.
don't. Yeah.
I think we can't give you I don't mean to say the word a credit, but a credit for converting asphalt to a different type of impervious surface.
Okay.
So I think what I, as one member of the commission, would be looking for is a net decrease in total impervious surface accounted for. I'd be okay with an infiltration basin.
Yeah. Or so, or leach pit, something like that, or
Yeah.
a chamber
Yeah, like
subsurface.
a dry well or something like that.
Yeah, drywall. That's what
I'm
it is.
thinking a dry well. Thank you, Jen.
Well, I mean, I like it, Ben. I don't know. I'm not sure what else you would do there that's better than that. I mean, better than planting. So,
I think we appreciate this is a challenging site.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot going on here. So. Okay.
Phil, do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, you and Mike kind of nailed it right on the head there.
So the dry
Alright.
well should be shown on the plan, and then the specs for the dry well should be submitted with the operation and maintenance, so the homeowner knows how to maintain it.
Yeah, the O&M matters to us because we have a lot of situations where they don't get maintained, and then the whole benefit of infiltrating stops functioning after a few years.
Okay. All right.
So I guess if no one has
We
anything else,
can-
yeah, sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So I guess you're gonna ask me if I'd like to continue, which I would, and we will regroup, add that in there, and resubmit.
We just haven't opened you up for public comments. I just want to open this up for public comment.
Okay.
So if anyone's here to comment on 16 Paddock Road, please raise your hand. We'll promote you to panelist. Seeing none. Jen, do you have the date for our next meeting?
June 9th.
Offhand? Okay. Motion to continue 16 Paddock Road to the June 9, 2025 meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Second.
Carol motion, Vecchio second, roll call vote. Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
See you soon, Greg.
See you next.
We're next. So, not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, I did great with that one. Up next is 8 Union Street for a ANRAD.
All right, so Greg Driscoll from JDE Civil here representing Bethany and Gilson Olivera Fasella for 8 Union Street for an ANRAD. All right, so this property is, just off 138 on Union Street. It is a uniquely shaped property. I'll zoom in on the locus map right here. So there's Route 138, Washington Street and Union Street. There's a house right here, which I'll show when we zoom back out, which connects to a much larger portion of the property back here. So this is the existing house at 8 Union Street. There's a little sliver that connects back and opens up to this larger portion of the property. So we're here tonight to confirm the wetlands, the IVW that is located on the property. Flags A1 to A1/3, and we got B2 over to B10. So this all closes in on itself.
Yeah, the elevation seems to make sense with what you're telling me.
Yes. And I believe Jennifer went out there and took a look at it. Had some correspondence with myself and Brad Holmes, who delineated the wetlands. And we eliminated these 2 flags here and connected A13 to B2 and bumped out those buffers as well. So the red line is the 50-foot buffer and the orange line is the 100-foot buffer. That is shown in our legend over here. So before we go any further with any other kind of planning with the site, we would like to get these resource areas nailed down with an ORAD. And that's pretty much it. I do have some photos if you want to take a look. Otherwise, Jennifer would like to talk about what you saw when you went out there.
Thanks.
Jen,
Do you just want to go over the isolated land subject to flooding calculations?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks very much. Yes, so we took a look at the grading in here and the isolated, did some ILSF calculations. It's a very small area, and it kind of just puddles. I do have a photo of the area, and basically our calcs show that it does not hold a 1/4 acre foot or of water. It's not an average depth of 6 inches, and it does not qualify as an ILSF.
Right, under the state law.
We have a map in here. So this is the area that flows into the low point. And it's less than a 1/4 acre of contributing area.
These are in your binder for the commission. So I mostly wanted you to see when we ask for isolated land subject to flooding calculations and when they're automatically included in the application, I wanted you to see a good example. So
it shows how much storage we have in that depression before anything flows out of it. So well below would be considered a isolated land subject to flooding.
And
Thanks
so
very much.
wetland is jurisdictional under the bylaw only, not under the state law. And so it's vegetated wetland and land subject to flooding under the bylaw.
Jen, you were able to go out, confirm boundaries.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add about existing conditions on the site?
No, maybe just to explain to people in the audience that an ANRAD application is only to verify the wetland boundaries. This is not about a project. There's no project before the Conservation Commission. It's just the wetland boundary.
Thank you. So the delineation, I think I saw 2 dates on the plan. When was the most recent delineation?
I'm sorry, I stopped sharing on you, Greg.
Sure. So originally, Brad Holmes flagged it in September 2023.
Mhm.
After we filed the ANRAD, Jennifer went out and took a look and had some comments for us to connect flag A1 to A3, and we revised the plan and resubmitted the plan about a week ago.
And just out of a complete curiosity, did flags change at all?
Flags A1 and B1, I'm sorry, A1 4 and B1 are eliminated. That's why we're showing in gray here, kind of grayed it out. And the line with the color with the green behind it connects these two.
Got it.
So just kind of bumped it out a little bit
Thank you.
due to Jennifer saw was it elderberry or some
Bunch of elderberry.
vegetation in the area that was wetland vegetation.
As my curiosity had more to do with whether or not 2 years changed the perimeter. As opposed, yeah, neither here nor there. It's all good. Any additional comments or questions from members of the commission?
Nope.
Right, any public comment here for the ANRAD application in front of us for 8 Union Street? If you have comment as to this, please raise your hand. We will promote you to panelist and hear your comments. All right, seeing none. Greg, I assume you'd like to close?
Would like to close, please.
So excuse me, we do very few of these. Jen, I'm making a motion for an order of resource area delineation.
Yes, but do the motion to close first.
Of course. Motion to close the public hearing for 8 Union Street.
Second.
Carol motion. Spadia second. Roll call vote. Carol, aye.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Motion to issue an order of resource area delineation as proposed and discussed for 8 Union Street.
Second.
Carol motion. Spadia second. Roll call vote. Carol, aye.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Thanks.
Up next is 95 Union Street, which is a abbreviated notice of resource area delineation to verify wetland resource boundaries only.
Good evening.
Hey, Eric, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's everybody?
Good.
Excellent. If you're ready, I'll jump right into it. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering, representing Garcon Corp. For an ANRAD at 95 Union. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to actually start with the mass mapper just to give the lay of the land. I trust everybody can probably see this.
Yeah.
So this is 95 Union. Just by way of orientation, the Brockton Town line is right here. This used to be a part of the old Benson Foundry. This area is largely, entirely undeveloped, I should say. And it fronts on Winterberry Lane through Winterberry Estates on the west side. It does have a significant amount of wetland resource areas on it, and we'll walk through those. But just to go to the aerial view, you can see the site with the exception of perhaps this portion here, and a little portion back here is primarily vegetated. So to jump over to the ANRAD plan, which is here, share this guy. It's probably too big. That's probably better. So this shows our ANRAD plan. Quite a substantially sized site. If I recall, I think we're looking at somewhere around 25 or 30 acres. Along the northern portion, we do have a BBW that wraps around. That is the A series. This was all delineated by Brad Holmes at ECR in October 2024 and located by Luke Klim shortly thereafter at Klim Land Surveying. The BBW wraps around the northern portion of the site and continued. There's also BBW along the southern boundary of the site. Interior to those BBWs on the eastern portion through here is Dorchester Brook, that is perennial. That delineation breaks at flag ID 22 and then runs, well, I guess it's running eastward, west to east. But if we follow the flagging along my cursor, this portion over here is an intermittent stream, still has the riverfront area jurisdictional under the local bylaw as a tributary to Dorchester Brook. And so the riverfronts are included here. There's also FEMA floodplain zone A on the site. As you know, zone A's do not have a determinate flood elevation associated with them. But if I zoom in, it doesn't show up super well, but you can see it by the dotted lines that are shown here, the boundaries of the zone A. It's very much interior to the BBW. So it primarily stays within resource areas and obviously would be protected through that. Aside from those couple of BBWs, there is one a D series along the southern BBW. That is technically BBW though, although it looks isolated, it is connected by a culvert. So that is that one, and I believe that was it. We've got the A, the B, the C, and a couple of bank flags through here. I do know that there was some issue early on with payment on this one, so I don't believe Jen has had an opportunity to get out there and review this. I obviously don't want to speak for Jen, but I imagine we will be continuing from here, so I'll stop rambling and turn it over.
It's a big site.
It's a large site. Yeah, it's actually a very nice site. Oh, I think I just lost the screen share.
No,
That's
I
okay.
did.
Oh, okay. No,
I
that's fine.
can't see if
Yeah,
the
you just
butters
got
have their
demoted.
hands raised if the screen is sharing, so I shut people down.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, it actually is a very nice site. That I think, historically, I think Benson used it as sort of a play area, for lack of a better word. I think if you go to the site, there's trails that are cut through it. It's been well maintained. The trails are well maintained. It's a very nice site.
Thank you, Eric.
Sure.
Jen, comment?
No, just as Eric mentioned, there was a significant delay in receiving the application fee, so the site inspection has not been done yet, but it will be by the next meeting.
Okay.
I should note as well, we don't have a DEP file number for this one yet either. I checked it right before the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Any public comment here for 95 Union Street?
You have 3 so far.
Dealer's choice, Jen?
It takes a second for it to go
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
Felicity is coming up first.
Felicity, just while you're loading, reminder, please just introduce yourself by name and address for the record. Goes for everyone who's here tonight for public comment.
If you're having an issue, then the bottom of the screen is where the toolbar is. If you roll your mouse down there, way over on the left-hand side, you should see the mute and the video buttons. Oh, there you go.
Okay, okay.
We can hear you, we can see you.
You see this map? Right there, at that
Just
edge.
a reminder, Felicity, although we know you, please introduce yourself by name and address.
75 Union Street. You
Thank
see
you.
this map at the edge right there? That is my property that abuts Wildlands Trust. Wayne Benson put an access road through there that angled off into the Wildlands Trust. And they wrote to a letter, wrote the Easton Conservation Commission ordering them to remove their Benson's concrete products, which his culverts or whatever he had. And they finally did, and they ordered him to replant trees, which refused. Now, this map here indicates that they own that strip of land. They do not. And my deed says that my land, the old French farm, goes up to the land of Winfield Gray, which is now Wildlands Trust. This, I would say in no uncertain terms, is an illegal land grab. Number two, let me show you some other, hold on. One second here. This is the NOAA map of Easton. You see this area up here? This is where all the water is backed up. This is what I was talking to you about. This is what the United States Geological Survey and their special modifier of this area called it a diked, impounded, man-made barrier or dam that obstructs the inflow and outflow of water, i.e. 30 feet or 50 feet dam for Brockton Edison electric easement crossing French Pond. It's a violation in the United States Supreme Court ruling. And when this thing blows, this whole area down here, this is the shrub area of French Pond. You see right there, that's the scrub. That's where there's wetland grasses and trees less than 20 feet. This is the blue area of French Pond. There's Union Street. Now it all goes down and it all has been manipulated. There is his illegal access road, which he sold to Garcom. This area all over here is wetland. You see right there, it's all wetland, all in there. Now, I witnessed March 4th of this year. This is the Easton Conservation Commission wetlands. This whole area going down to the first two houses near the bridge, covered with ice, meaning that there's water going all the way down to the bridge and the first two houses, the condos near the bridge of going to phase 2. Let me show you some other pictures. You see, there is, you see that? You see the illegal land grab. That is the illegal access road that he put through my property to access from 91 Union Street to 95 Union Street. Let me show you some more pictures. Hold on, let me go back. This is the water that I'm talking about of the 2 6-foot concrete slabs. You see the water? The United States Geological Survey and the wetland mappers, which I referred to you last meeting, says that this water is permanent or semi-permanent or seasonally running. In some areas, this water, even though there's that special modifier, the dam they talked about crossing French Pond to allow the Brockton Edison power lines to go across there, this water still goes around that dam and it fills up the area of Dorchester Brook, which in some cases is 8.2 feet deep in depth. This goes down to, hold on, let me get it. It goes down to French Pond. Now, look at this. See this map? This is from the Town of Easton, Department of Public Works, 8/29/2004. You can see right there, this is French Pond, Union Street. This is Benson's product. This is French Pond that goes up there. This is where the shrub trees less than 20 feet. And there you have your 50-foot Brockton Edison dam that blocks the flow of water. So if that dam breaks, this whole area down here will be catastrophically flooded. And we've witnessed during a tropical storm, raging water 12 feet high going through here, white water going through here. And as I said, this area is going to be catastrophic if this dam breaks. And that dam right there, that easement, is blocking the flow of water to go down to here, which is this is Monty's Pond, 20-acre pond down there. And now it is scarcely anything because of that dam up there and the manipulation of water. This water, he says it's sporadic or whatever. No, it's in some cases permanent, semi-permanent, or seasonally running. This break off, where is it? Let me see. The break, this is phase 2 of Winterberry. The break off gully of water running down to the wetlands there is permanently running, even though it is at a very low level. You could say it's seasonally flooding. And United States Geological Survey is saying that all of this land down here is saturated land. The area down there is at 148 feet, 155 to 148 feet. And I told you the barn next to my house, built in 1860, the lower part in the rear, 173 feet, it fills up with water. 8 inches, 12 inches, but it still fills up with water. And that elevation is 173 feet. I can't imagine what the water will be like in the back at 155 feet in elevation, as the topographical elevation of water keeps going further and further lower to 155 feet, 154 feet, 148 feet. And these people want to build on land that the United States Geological Survey says the soil is always saturated. So there you have it. You're dealing with catastrophic conditions when we have a tropical storm or a hurricane. That whole area will be flooded. And they can't do an illegal land grab by grabbing land from the old French farm. Of that 33 acres, parcel 3, parcel 4, parcel 5 was part of the Knapp property. And that included 24.78 acres on the northern side. The southern side was the 9.3 acres and the pond, which was just a small portion of the entire land. And I'm telling you, you're dealing with water conditions. If that water level rises, that can put into jeopardy the housing in phase 2 of Winterberry. 5 houses, 5 condominiums on the east side of Winterberry, which is right near the wetland that the gully goes down, the southeast westerly part of 95 Union Street near Winterberry. And when that water goes up in elevation, you're jeopardizing that phase 2 of Winterberry, which is already in a FEMA designated zone A floodplain, from flooding out. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Felicity.
Okay.
I think we lost her. Let's go to,
Steve's coming up next.
okay. Hi, Steve. Just a reminder, please introduce yourself by name and address.
Hi, my name's Steve Yaffe. I'm at 110 Goldfinch Drive in Brockton, Massachusetts. Thank you, Felicity, for that. So we just got this notice saying that they're going to be building up there. To us, it seems like it's pretty far away. It's not really a big deal. But we were looking at our plans, and we were told that it was Easton owned it over there on that far side and not Driscoll. So I was concerned about who owned that area. And then the Audubon Society was on the other end. And my concern would be that if that sliver of land that you're not building on now, but that comes down and abuts my property, ever becomes something that you want to build on in the future, that it's going to push the wetlands even further closer to us. And we already have a 100-foot buffer in the corner of our property that creates a bit of a soggy bit over in our yard or whatever. When it rains a lot, it gets really filled up with water over there, and very saturated. And so we're concerned that if the wetlands keep getting pushed and moved, that it could be pushed and moved down towards us and start to encroach upon our property even further.
Thank you for the comment.
Thank you.
One more.
Roy, as we're bringing you up, just a reminder, please introduce yourself by name and address.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Do you need to see me?
I don't feel that I need to see you for your comment tonight, but it is preferred.
Okay, let's see. Hold on a second.
And you're live. We can see you. Yep.
Okay, I'm Roy Nakowitz. I live at 128 Winterberry Lane in Phase 2 of Winterberry. And the question I have, because I don't really understand how this goes after this development that they're talking about gets done, but they're talking about some sophisticated water management of 4 homes that they want to put in that area. And those water management systems require maintenance. And I know that in the backs of our homes now, over the last 10 years, we see more and more water back there. And when there are systems put in that they're going to be using to get approval to put these houses in that have to be maintained, who has authority over those homeowners once they own the houses to make sure that they are in fact maintaining the systems that were put in?
So, Roy, just to clarify, what's before us right now is an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, which just means they're asking us to confirm wetland boundaries that they've had delineated by a professional. So there is no proposal in front of us at the moment to construct anything. And we're not aware of a proposal. They may have something with the planning board. I personally am not aware of exactly what's being proposed on this site. For the purposes of the meeting tonight, we can only talk about this abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, which may be used in the future for a project. But for now, it's just what are the buffers that exist back there and whether or not we can certify and agree to them.
Okay, so my next question is, if you do this part now, and I know that they have gone before the planning board, I've sat in on one of those meetings. If they get some approval to move forward, does conservation get further involved to make sure that things are done to protect people that are living there already?
Yes, I would presume anything that would be built on this site, given what we've seen about the resources, would have to come to us for a notice of intent, which would involve us. It would involve a DEP filing with the state. And we would have a pretty extensive review process with additional public meetings around that.
And then at that point, would we be able to talk about how maintenance gets
Yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't know what the sequencing really was, but I'm getting a better handle on that. Okay, thank you.
Of course. So questions that have come towards us, I'll direct back to the applicant. One thing that comes to mind, and I just want to make sure that we understand before we do an ORAD here, is property ownership and boundary lines, right? I have not done this research candidly, but I will before the next meeting around who has the authority to pull and INRAD. I know with a notice of intent, it either has to be the property owner or someone with the express authority of the property owner. What we don't do is decide people's property rights. We decide how the act gets enforced. But I think in order to issue an enforceable ORAD for this property, we need to know that we're doing it on property that is owned by the applicant. So I think deeds and a certified site plan from a surveyor would be what we'd be relying on there.
If I may, just in response to that, what I can do is, I can have our surveyor add his stamp to the ANRAD plan set, that has the property line meets and bounds on it. And we can provide the deed for the property. I do know that, Garcon did purchase the property as shown from, Wayne Benson, and everything that we've shown is per what is written in the deeds, but we can certify it.
I don't doubt that. I just, where it's been raised by two applicants, I think it's best we cover bases and make sure that what we're doing is appropriate here.
Sure, that's fair.
So it looks like Steve has additional comment. Let's take that first. And Felicity, you raised your hand after, so we'll come back to you at the end.
Hi, sorry, you may have answered my question already, but I was wondering who did the inspection of the boundaries for what is being considered right now, whether or not that's something that is coming independently through the Conservation Committee, or if that's something that's coming through the company that wants to potentially develop the land.
So how that works is the applicant has hired a wetland scientist who's gone out and delineated the boundary and said, this is where specific resource areas are. We then send Jennifer out, who's our agent on behalf of the town, and she'll confirm that she agrees with those boundaries. And there'll be some back and forth, I'm sure, about specific sites across, specific points across the site. But that's sort of how that works. And then we agree to a boundary that may or may not be used in the future. We've had ANRADs that come back and don't go anywhere. We've had them to turn into something that's used for projects in the future.
And then once that boundary is established, then that's what's used for any particular site alterations that are moving forward.
Yes, sir.
So that boundary determines the jurisdictional area of the Conservation Commission, and it's valid for 3 years.
Okay. And would we as abutters get notification when that went to the next stage of build or whatever it's called?
If they propose a project that's within a jurisdictional area, they will have to apply for a permit through the Conservation Commission, and you would get notice again as an abutter.
And what would be our recourse if we wanted to find out if anything that was happening up in that area or proposed to be happening could have an effect on the position of the wetlands? I mean, Felicity brought up a lot of good points about the drainage and the water going in different directions. And I know that when you start to move things around, like just the slopes sort of move the water in different directions. So I'm trying to figure out, as a homeowner in the area or in the future, I don't want to have that happen to me. So I'm trying to figure out what would I need to do in order to ensure that nothing would encroach any further upon my property.
Leaving that one to Ben.
So the applicant has to meet a burden of proof with us. I don't know, is not knowing what's going to be proposed before us, it may be something that gets subject to peer review. If there's peer review, we hire an independent engineer to go through really the math on all their systems and make sure that it's up to the standards that it's supposed to be.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
My time.
Felicity will.
Yeah.
You're up whenever you're ready.
I want to show you this picture. You see this picture? This was taken March 4th. You see there the two condos right there? They're right near the bridge. You see the way the water has frozen all the way out back to lot 2, March 4th of this year, when we had so little snow. Temperatures did drop, but they didn't drop that much to cause all that wetland near the Easton Conservation Commission, right down there, Easton Conservation Commission, vernal pool, all the water is backed up to lot 1. And you also have to take in consideration that FEMA floodplain maps say that these developers do what they call a fill and build. They fill in the wetlands with water, with topsoil, the water has to go somewhere else, so it gets pushed over to Winterberry Lane or to somewhere, maybe down to Goldfinch Drive. If the water still has to go somewhere, so and the water will likely go over to the wetland in the back of my house, one of the old French fields. You've got to take into consideration where this water in the stratum, which the United States Geological Survey says specifically with these permanent, semi-permanent, seasonally flowing gullies, brooks, rivers, where is that water going to go? Is it going to be pushed somewhere else? And I also realized that Blackledge Conoco has eyed Winterberry Lane for 100-unit housing. So you could assume that maybe that lot 2 with the 40-foot frontage, 20 feet for access, 20 feet for egress, that Blackledge may have eyed this lot 2 as a 100-foot condominium complex. Where is that water going to go in the event of a hurricane, tropical storm? You tell us when all that area is considered Zone A floodplain. You see, like there, you see that? That is the Easton, that's the Massachusetts DEP wetland flood map. And you got to recognize that this water has to go somewhere. The Winterberry Phase 2 condominiums will be flooded even more, the wetland, because that's Zone A floodplain. That's what you've got to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. And Roy, you're up whenever you're ready.
I do just want to say that Winterberry Lane heading into Phase 2, on the outbound side, as you're going out towards the bridge, we do get a lot of water coming out of that property across our road. Where that water goes right now is into the rain garden that is in between the inbound and outbound side of Winterberry Lane. If they do anything that's going to bring more water into that area, I don't know if our rain gardens are designed to handle that. I don't know what it's going to do to the amount of water that we get around our homes. And, I just hope that that gets taken into account, because the plan that's being laid out in front of us, it's right in the area where we get water coming across the road already. So I
Thank you, Roy.
want to make you guys aware of that.
Thank you. All right, any additional public comment? Felicity, did you have an additional comment or?
Yeah, one last thing.
Yeah.
April 19th, 2024, 95 Union Street, Northeastern filed lots 49B, 50, 51, U9-39 under Chapter 61. Forest Conservation, 33.1 acres, including U2-31, Parcel A, and old U5-44A. This means that if it's in violation of the 10-year forest conservation, this means that the town of Easton can obtain the right of ownership or first rights of refusal of land filed under 61 if the landowner intends to sell or convert the land to a use inconsistent with the program's purposes. The town of Easton has the option to purchase the land at fair market value or assign this right to a conservation organization. Now, I drove back there in Phase 2, and this is what I've noticed. They've already been cutting down trees to expose the area for development, to display the lots. This is in violation of the general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Chapter 61. Go figure.
Thank you. So to finalize this, any additional questions or comments from members of the commission? Right. I think I've made my comments. I would also ask, just based upon some public comment tonight, Jennifer, when you're out there doing the delineation, could you just look specifically for evidence of alteration?
Verification, not delineation.
What's
Yeah,
that?
well, verification, not delineation, but yes,
Thank you.
I'll look for those things.
I've been known to have some vocabulary issues. I appreciate that. Yeah, it just something to note while you're doing that. All right. So again, I just want to note for public record, there is no project before us. There's a request to delineate a resource area for a ANRAD. So with that said, I'm going to make a motion to continue this to the June 9th, 2025 meeting of the Conservation Commission.
Second.
Carol motion, Vecchio second, roll call vote. Carol, aye.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
So we're heading into certificates of compliance. We did 39 Riverside Terrace, so we're on to 0 Depot Street.
That's ready for a full COC.
So we do have a hand, excuse me, we do have a hand up. I don't know if this hand is raised for the order of business that's in front of us, 0 Depot Street, but why don't we take the public comment?
Hello, board. Again, this is Camille Smalls, 47 One Chime Road. Sorry, my computer was glitching, so I don't know where we went with the next agenda item, but I did read and I didn't see our 25 Turnpike for this meeting, but I did see it on there was a May 13th meeting that we weren't privy to because our meeting was scheduled for today. So I was just trying to figure out, is there any new information? There was no minutes for 513, so I'm just trying to figure out.
I think the minutes haven't been approved yet, but we had a meeting 513 and a notice of intent was allowed, issuing an order of conditions and permit for work after extensive changes to the plan.
Okay.
So that video is also available online. You're more than welcome to go watch that too.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't know. Did you guys were we able to get notified? I'm sorry. We just had from our last meeting on April 28th, we were said May 20th was when we will reconvene about our agenda item. And then to see that it was May 13th, it was, oh. So I'm just trying to figure out, because we all obviously we've been there since the beginning, to get information and to see, what was happening. And again, so just a clarification, dumb it down sake, because I'm going to relay this to the 47 other houses in the community. So you guys spoke about the agenda item and there are proceeding. Is that what's?
Yes.
Okay. So whoever came out, the surveyor and the engineer said that it's okay to build. 'Cause I know last time Eric had a problem with the water flow. And again, it did rain. So
Yeah, we did have a hearing on it. We can't really talk about it further without it being an agenda item.
Okay.
But I would encourage you to go watch the video of that hearing, and it was posted on the agenda to be heard last week.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Camille. So I think we heard we needed to hear for 0 Depot. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 0 Depot Street.
Second.
Carol motion, Spady a second, roll call vote. Carol, aye.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Up next is enforcement. I see no items listed. I know I'm being optimistic. Anything we need to talk about tonight?
We have not received the permit application yet for 101 Lincoln Street, but I'm told it will be coming soon.
Okay. All right. So we'll give that until the next meeting, which gives them a good amount of time. We got some space. Board discussion, term expiration, Mike Spadia.
I'm doing the form. I'm just terrible sitting on a computer, as you probably can understand. So I promise you, I will do it tonight or tomorrow morning.
Glad to hear that we're
We
not.
had a deadline for it, so you want to make sure you
I-
meet the
I
deadline.
promise you, it'll be done. I swear to God.
Glad to hear we're not losing you, Mike.
No, I can't go anywhere. I love it.
Board reappointments, chair, vice chair. So
Doesn't
What
have
do
to
we-
be tonight, but we put it on the agenda ahead of time because you need to decide this before July 1.
all right, why don't we, and I'm gonna phone this in, why don't we take until next meeting to just continue this conversation? I want to gauge everybody's interests. And then I think the topic that we should revisit again is just associate members. I know when we were working through associate members, we asked folks to attend an interval of meetings, and I haven't seen our associate members in a while. I just want to invite them back for a meeting, either next meeting or the meeting after, and gauge their interest in continuing as associate members and what they've been up to. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Up next is review minutes. Was there anything else we needed to address there, Jen, before I continue here?
Yep, that's good.
Review minutes for 5/13/25. I will entertain a motion if anyone wants to make one.
I did not scan them.
Neither did I.
All right, let's continue that to 5/9 as well.
Hang on just one second because I think Rodney and Camille are still on the call. You can email me tomorrow and I can send you the draft minutes if you like.
Perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
Bylaw regs and potential revisions.
We have nothing for that. I'm not sure when staffing will be restored, so that's you had me put it on keep it on the agenda, so we keep sort of poking at it, but I'm not sure when I will have time to start that up again.
Yeah, it's a project I keep saying I really want to get into. I will not realistically have bandwidth to do with any seriousness until probably August. So let's have that conversation offline, Jen, and maybe we set realistic goals. Chair updates. I have none this meeting. Jen, do you have any environmental planner updates?
I do not.
Any pertinent item not reasonably anticipated by the chair? Anybody got anything?
Nothing.
Nothing.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
There we go.
Carol motion, Vecchio second, roll call vote. Carol, aye.
Spady, aye.
Vecchio, aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.